So the topic that I want to focus on today is how do I recover from feeling severe contrast. And I thought about just sort of doing this as a quick blog on this channel because I've been going through that. I've been going through severe, and I mean severe contrast that's really just taken me just so down and so kind of made me question. It's just been an absolute roller coaster. Really just thought it would be a good idea just to kind of speak to anyone who has, you know, been studying the law of attraction, who's been putting a lot of the tools into practice, who's been really, you know, actively creating their world, and, you know, have probably gone through a lot of contrast when things haven't been working out or showing up when they've wanted it to, or, you know, really been down in the dumps about certain stuff, and, you know, feeling that what it is that they've put out to the universe, it might be 2-3 years that they've waited and it still hasn't manifested. And, you know, anyone who's really gone through a lot of negative feelings, you know, to do with the law of attraction. And all I can say is that take your time with recovering from contrast, because when we really go through feelings of despair, which is what contrast can be a lot of the time, it's not just thinking negative things, thinking about the things that we don't want, but it's also, you know, you've put your hopes, because the whole point of manifesting stuff is really putting your faith and your hopes and your trust that what it is that you want to manifest is going to actualize in your life. And when we find that it's not happening as quickly as we would like, we tend to get really fearful, and we tend to get really down in the dumps, and we tend to start to despair and think, oh wow, well, okay, that's me done, I'm still stuck here at this position and nothing's going to change. But what I would say is that you need to be, if this is the case, then you need to be more general with what it is that you're manifesting. So if you're looking to manifest something, a specific thing, and it hasn't come around, I mean, for example, maybe 2-3 years, and, you know, you're still kind of beating the same drum of really wanting this thing to manifest, but it's not happening, then you need to look at other ways of it manifesting. So you need to kind of look at other ways, because there's always a solution to every problem. There is always a solution to every problem. Remember that affirmation, because it's the truth. There is always a solution to every problem. So, you know, just because something hasn't come around in one way, it doesn't mean that it won't actualize in another. You just really need to release the energy to the universe and say, you know what, universe, I'm putting this in your hands, and any way that you believe it should be delivered to me, it should be manifested, I'm trusting that it's going to be manifested in the right way. Because sometimes what happens, I believe, with manifesting stuff is that sometimes we have an idea. I mean, I know that I said be specific, and please still be specific. But sometimes what happens is, even if we're specific about stuff that we want to manifest, sometimes it's simply just not the right way for us to receive it. So sometimes it's just going to manifest in another way. And as long as it's not harming you, as long as it's not harming anybody else, as long as the manifestation comes to you in a sweet, calm, safe, relaxed way, then it really doesn't matter how that manifestation shows up. So one thing I would also say about, you know, dealing with contrast and dealing with stuff not manifesting when we want it to, is to be open to the possibilities of how things are going to show up in your life. Be open, be alert, be aware, because sometimes even if something hasn't manifested the way that we want it to manifest, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It just means that something's going to happen, probably in a different way, in a way that is more aligned with the reality of what you want to bring into your life. So going quickly back to how do we deal then with severe contrast, how do we deal with severe doubt, how do we deal with severe negativity? All I would say is acknowledge it, deal with it. If you need to cry, if you need to bang down a door, if you need to feel that negative energy in your life, then feel it. Don't deny it, feel it, because it's a part of you. It is who you are. You can't deny when you're feeling bad, and you can't deny when you're feeling down, just as you can't deny when you're feeling good, and you can't deny when you're feeling up. So acknowledge those feelings, feel them, because what usually happens is, in my experience, whether I've been going through severe contrast like I have been in the last few days, what simply happened is that I have really felt those emotions. I've let those emotions pull me. I've let them pull me to the brink. I've let them really just crush me and hurt me, and I've just really let them, I've let the tears flow, I've let the anger flow, I've let the hate flow, I've let the I've let it all flow. I've spoken to my angels. I've said, you know what, why is this not happening for me? I'm really, I'm just fed up with this situation and stuff, and this, that and the other, and I've really just let all of that flow, because when you let it completely flow from your body, the only thing that can possibly be left is a solution. When you completely let all of that bad stuff flow out of you, you just let it flow, you don't contain it, you don't hold on to it, you just let it flow out of you, then the only thing that is left is for you to think about the solution, and for you to think about, okay, I was feeling that, and I'm glad I felt that, because it's actually freed me. It's actually made me feel a lot better than I did before. So let anger, let contrast, let negativity flow. Let it flow in whichever way you want to let it flow. And then when you've cried all the tears that you can cry, when you've felt all the bitterness and the anger that you can feel, and when you've really just let everything come out of you, when it's really been a complete and utter purge, then what you are left with are answers, solutions, and freedom. So don't be afraid of contrast. If you're experiencing severe contrast, please, in my opinion, go with that flow, and then get yourself up that lovely emotional scale. Because when you do that, you're not sitting on anything. You're wiping the slate clean, which I believe that in my personal opinion, with the law of attraction, it's not all about being completely hunky-dory and all this and all that. It's also about wiping the slate clean, getting rid of lots of resistance, which you can do via the contrast, acknowledging the contrast, going through the contrast, feeling that contrast, crying out that contrast, beating that contrast to a pulp. When you've gone through all of that, when you've beat all that resistance out of you, then you're left with a fresh slate on which to work again. I hope that helps.